Great. Hi, Queens. Welcome to the Black Women Build Wealth YouTube channel. My name is Sam, and I have a guest for you today. As you can see, I'm not by myself. I have Halisi from our Black Utopia. Hi, Halisi. Boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Olá, boa tarde.
So I'm
Is all
very
good?
excited
Tudo bem?
because, sorry?
I said tudo bem. That means
Yeah.
is it all good?
Oh, yeah. My boa tarde is the extent of my Portuguese at this point.
I understand. I understand.
Um,
Definitely.
So I am super excited to have Alice on the channel today for many, many, many reasons. As you can see, the thumbnail said money and move abroad. And as you know, my channel is all about money. And also I am interested to move abroad in a few years. So Alice and Rick, her husband, they have done all that. They're right now in Portugal. They call Portugal their home, and so before we jump into the interview, if somehow YouTube has served this to you and you're just wondering, who's this chick talking? My name is Sam. I am the host here on the Black Women Build Wealth YouTube channel. I'm also the founder of the Wealthy Black Women Summit, which happened this year on November 18. I talk everything about building wealth, especially on my channel, investing and protecting your money. So I leave everything that has to do with debt repayment and saving. Maybe to other people is not really my forte, although I do talk about it with guests, and I think we'll be talking about it with Alice today. But my focus really is investing and protecting your assets, and my audience is Black women. So here we have a Black woman who has done so much when it comes to all of that debt repayment, saving, investing, generational wealth, and also moving abroad, right? So I wanted to take the time to have her on the channel here and for her to talk to us about her journey. So let me just say hi to the ones who are in the chat right now. Hi Adelia, Picky Girl Travels the World. And definitely, you guys, if you're not following her channel yet, you should subscribe. Right now, she's doing Vlogmax, which is a huge, huge project. I'm just like following every
Right?
2 p.m. Eastern time. Adelia is going live December all the way to 20, December 25th, I believe. And she's talking mainly about the whole move abroad. She might be doing some videos about money as well, but definitely go check her channel. And I also have HND abroad. Maybe D, I think it's D, or maybe Ermin is there as well. But I did have also D as a guest on the channel, I think a couple of weeks ago. I'm not 100% sure when. And we also had a great conversation about money and moving abroad. That will be I guess, like, the topic mainly with my guest. And oh, we have Rick here, I believe, right?
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
That's me.
Um, oh yeah, that's true. So okay, so let's jump right into it. Alice. Let's start first of all by you introducing yourself to the audience, and I have a few questions for you. And you guys, as we go through, feel free to comment in the chat and also ask your questions.
Wonderful. So, hello, everyone. My name is Halisi of Our Black Utopia. I am the co founder of Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence, as well as the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. My husband and I, Rick, we have our YouTube channel, Our Black Utopia, and we launched March 2022. So, we're coming up on 2 years now, which is amazing because my son was supposed to do this. It wasn't supposed to be left for the old folks. But for those of you who may not know, about 7.5, 8 years ago, my husband and I got a wake up call as we got close to retirement age. And we looked at our money and it was not happening. So about 3.5, 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and went from negative 22,000 to over 1.1 million in net worth. And so we're here to help Black folks who forgot to plan get their money straight,
This is
especially those of a certain age, which my sister is. She's only 41. She thinks, oh, no, I don't have to worry about that yet. I'm like, sister girl,
start now.
yes, don't be like me.
Mhm. So
Don't be
let's
like
go
me.
back in time here. Uh, the debt. I believe you guys had mentioned, I've been following you guys for a while now, and you mentioned a few times how you guys racked up debt over the years. So how much debt we were talking about when you really sat and you tallied everything, and what type of debt we were talking about, and how did you decide to tackle this, and how long it took you to
Yeah.
pay the debt?
So I had a lot of that, and I'm not even including student loan. Of course, not mortgage or car, because the mortgage, you can sell the house and get rid of that, right? The car, if you're not upside down, you can sell that and get rid of that. So I'm talking credit card debt, y'all. Credit card debt, because you know, if you want it, just get it. You can afford the payments. That was my mindset. Like, my parents did not teach me that you were supposed to live within the amount of money you made, and you use credit cards as tools, but you certainly don't carry a balance. My parents always had a balance. They always had a balance. So we had about 7.5 years ago, we met with this financial planner, and I'd already started trying to half-heartedly get out of debt before that. But when he gave us that financial outlook of what our retirement would look like, Rick was so depressed. He was so depressed. I mean, he was just his whole posture changed when we walked out of that meeting. And me being overly optimistic and thinking, well, I just make some more money. That's all I got to do. But if I make more money, I'd spend more money, right?
Mm.
So after that, I really started, and I'd already heard of, I didn't know there was a name for it, of, paying the minimum on some of them and taking one and putting all the extra money towards another. I think that's avalanche. I don't know. Snowball avalanche. I don't know. But I have a spreadsheet. I put all the credit cards on there, put down the balances, and then, looked at what our other bills were and what the gap was between what we were making and what was just slipping through our fingers. But before I had even done that, I didn't know about Mint or Personal Capital or any of those online platforms. So I downloaded everything from our credit cards, our bank statements into Excel, sorted it so I could see where our money was going. About $1,000 a month just in restaurants.
Ooh.
Now, neither me nor my husband made six figures ever. So I don't know why we thought we had it like that. But it's just, and then just stuff. When we moved here, I brought 2 dresses that still have the tags on them that I bought before the pandemic. What are we doing? So once I figured out where all of our money was going, then we put ourselves on an allowance, and I got a certain amount per paycheck, and he got a certain amount per paycheck that were actually put in separate accounts, and then the main account was supposed to be to get this debt taken care of, right? And if we wanted to eat out, it had to come out of one of our allowances. So that worked pretty well. We cheated a little bit, but we started just tackling the credit cards one by one. And actually, so just like the experts say, all the $200, $300, $400 towards one, and then once that was paid off, that money went to the next one, and then that money went to the third one because it was 5 of them. And we actually did not finish paying off all of the debt until the first stimulus check that 45 sent out.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't go out and buy stuff. And that was the last of the debt, and paid that off. Thankfully, I had always been investing in my 401k through my 401k, and I never cashed that out. So, like I did the first one from my 20s. So we had that. It's not like we had nothing, but it was still pretty low back in those days. It was still pretty low. I think when we went to talk with him, I want to say it was like 32,000. So no, we're not $400 away from a catastrophe like most
Mhm.
Americans are, or a good number of Americans are. But you ain't fixing to retire
Yeah,
with
not enough.
$30,000 in a retirement account.
Yeah.
And then Rick didn't even have a 401k.
Oh,
He's like,
okay.
it's too, he kept saying it's too late.
Hmm.
Not if you're not going to ever stop working, it's not too late.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's what we did. And then after the debt was mostly paid off, we started investing outside of the retirement accounts.
Okay. So how much in total of debt we're talking about, and how many years did you take? Did that
Oh, I'm
take you?
sorry, I didn't say that. It was about 25,000.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how long it took you
I
to pay it off?
and I had some of the cash, like I could have just paid, but I couldn't get rid of my savings. So, but if I look at the 0.01 I was making at the time in the savings
Yeah.
account, I would have been better off just taking it out because we did have like about 30,000 in savings as well in cash. But what if? And
Hmm.
so I was always afraid to let go of that cash, not thinking about how much interest I was paying. So we started seriously paying this off 2017,
Okay.
2018.
Hmm.
And then the first stimulus check. So what was that?
Probably 2020
20,
or 2021.
like
2020, yeah,
the
so
summer
3 years.
of 2020,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 years to pay that amount of money off. Okay. I hope that
Yeah.
you that's great. That's a good timeline definitely to pay it up because you're really focused on that. So now,
Yes,
mhm.
absolutely.
So you paid off the credit card debt, and then what happened? Did you take everything that you were putting on the credit card debt and then you transferred it into your investment? Or what was the transition at that point?
So by that time, Portugal was on the radar.
Okay.
And so there's a certain amount of cash we wanted to have, or near cash, CDs or whatever. And and then my aunt started talking. My stepmother started talking to me about investing, and so they kind of happened simultaneously. I found out about the fire movement at the same time. So as soon as our debt, truly was pretty much paid off, is when um, my husband was looking at some videos and found Our Rich Journey. And I wasn't interested in the money talk. I just want to see Portugal because I'm out of debt now, hey. So didn't
Hmm.
know. I did not know. So it was like a convergence of three things. My stepmother came to a virtual event because she's in Atlanta. She came to a virtual event. She said, "Call me afterwards in the chat." So I called her. She says, "Halisi, are you investing?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a 401k, and I have my IRA, and I'm putting a couple bucks in there." And she's like, "No, no, 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 no." So she started mentoring me. At the same time, I started following Our Rich Journey and finding out about the fire movement. So two things happened concurrently. Rick and I started saving 65% of our income.
Wow.
And yeah, and well, didn't have to go nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It's the pandemic. We didn't have to use as much gas. Dry
Hmm.
cleaners went away, right? I stopped wearing makeup, put on the filter. so, so the Mac store wasn't seeing me every other month, right? I mean, going to work costs money,
Yeah, it does. The clothing,
right?
the lunches you buy there, the coffee, the transportation, it does cost money. Yeah.
Getting my nails done,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, you know. Eating lunch when you're too busy to make your lunch in the morning, just all of that stuff. So we ended up saving about 65% of our income. We added on, I took that whole savings and put it in a brokerage account.
Okay.
And with my mom's, I started with just index funds, but then with
Hmm.
her tutelage, I started investing in up and coming uh, companies that were medium-ish,
Yeah.
right before that hockey stick,
Hmm.
goes. And so Had some very not good luck because there's a science to it, but picked some good ones. And but that was still only 10% of our investment because I didn't feel confident enough. Now she has created her own index fund with all of these small companies. Well, not all small, because she's got Apple and Facebook, but from Apple and Facebook all the way down to some companies you've never even heard of, right? And things in between. So yeah, I'm not there yet. You've got to study. But at the same time, we saved about another $80,000 in cash.
Okay.
And so two things were happening. The stock market was going crazy. And then once Biden got in, he raised the interest rates. He had the, Treasury raised the interest rates. So now our savings is making money on top of that. So that was good. But it costs money to move abroad. So I wanted to make sure that we had the cash.
And we'll talk about that, because definitely that's something that I hear again and again and again. It's like, how do you come up with a budget when you want to move abroad, to know, just to make sure once you get there that you're not in some sort of financial hardship. So that'll be something I will talk about a bit later. How did you guys, come up with your numbers, when you knew that you were essentially going to Portugal? But I want to stop here, and maybe Dia had a question here about, can we talk about the American dream lies that Black women fall prey to, like mortgage and student loan debt is forever?
Yeah. I did have the notion that before we were planning to move abroad, that we would pay off the mortgage. And so for a while there, I was paying an extra 100% principal per year, because a friend of mine who's a mortgage broker said that will cut it in half, especially if you do it at the beginning of the year. So one extra payment a year, 100% to principal. But then I'm like, wait a minute. If I invest that money, even if I put it in a high yield savings account and let that money make money, then that's a better option. Then when I get the 100,000 or whatever is owed, I'm probably only put in maybe 85,000 to get the 100,000, as opposed to giving that mortgage company, who doesn't need my money every year. The additional money every year. Once we figured out that we were moving, I ain't paying this thing off. I'm going to let renters pay it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to let renters pay it off. And as far as student loan debt, okay, so the ROI on education is just not there anymore. But I went to graduate school before I realized that I probably didn't need it. I learned a lot, and I still utilize what I've learned. I got a master's in business. I still utilize that, and it's a way of thinking. However, I could have probably read books and this and that and gotten the same thing without getting in debt. Thankfully, it was only public loans. I'm still waiting for Biden to erase them. If he wants to get reelected, he needs to do that. You hear me, Biden? You hear me? But the other thing is once you retire, and you're making zero money, and you go onto an income-based repayment plan, my payment is...
Yeah, because you have no income. I mean, technically very low income at this point.
Exactly. Exactly. So we'll see what happens next year, since YouTube is paying us a few bucks a month. Let's see how that impacts it. But even if I'm only paying 10 or 15, like, I'm going to pay as little as possible, because I think after 30 years or something, it's just erased, or 20 years, whatever it is. So 2035, I think it goes away.
Yeah.
So
I think
even if I have to pay $10 a month,
okay,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think after 20 or 25 years, it gets erased or something. So that's pretty much what it is. Okay. Well, I guess Adelia, she doesn't think that Biden wants to be reelected anyway. So, well, Uncle Uncle Joe.
Look,
Okay, so
so you know I retired from politics, so we don't even
mhm.
want to have that conversation. But he was not my choice in
Mm,
the primaries. He was not my, like that old man. And I still remember the stuff he said about Obama when he was running against Obama. Like, no. I still
mhm.
remember, Anita Hill. Like, no. But
We'll see.
um,
I think 2024 will be a very interesting year for you guys and also for the world, right? Because there is an impact on the rest of the world each time that there is elections in the United States
in the
of
United States, I
America.
think
Hmm.
that's going to diminish if the
Hmm.
election, if they're foolish enough to reelect Trump. I think
Mm.
our standing in the world will diminish greatly. And then it's like,
Hmm.
what do I do with my money? Do I move it? What do I do
Yeah.
if the
Okay.
dollar loses too
So,
much value, right?
mhm. Okay. So one thing I wanted to, so as you know, on this platform, we talk about Black women building wealth. So, can you share your insight about money and also when we talk about wealth attainment for Black women, like any personal testimony? What do you think is important for Black women to think about when we talk about wealth building?
I think the first thing is that no one should know your money better than you know your money. That's number one. Like we get a lot of questions about, so who's your financial advisor? That would be me,
Mm.
right? They don't. They just no one should. I talk to so many people. They have no idea what they're invested in. They think that a 401k is an investment. So the first thing is that we really need to get educated on how money works. And it's
Mhm.
really not that complicated, but we've been sold a bill of goods that were just wrong, right? The second thing is that when people used to say pay yourself first, what does that mean? Like I get a paycheck from the job. What is pay yourself first? I don't even understand what that means. Um, no one ever said pay your future self first
Mm.
because that's what you're doing, right? And so I think the problem with Americans anyway, and this may be true maybe with Canadians as well as people from the UK, just in talking to some folks that I know from those two countries, is that we tend to be really overly optimistic about our future.
Mm.
And that like when I walked out of the door from that depressing meeting, I'm like, I'll just make some more money, right? So maybe not.
Mhm.
And if not, then what? Right. So that's number two is, and then the third thing is that we really have to identify when we are purchasing things and we're craving having these things. What is that really about?
Mhm.
What is that really about? The notion of keeping up with the Joneses and, you see somebody driving a Ferrari, oh, I'm gonna have one of those one day. Why? And so I think especially for Black women in countries that have so much racism, we believe that if we have the trappings of success, that we'll finally be treated as humans, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah,
They're going to say, "Oh, you must be a drug dealer."
exactly.
They're not going to say, "Oh, how did you earn this?" when they pull you
Mhm.
over, right? So if that is the notion, and sometimes we have to stand still, sit still, and really think about and be honest with ourselves with the tape recorder that's playing in our heads that tell us we need these things to be happy. And what I figured out is that financial security, honey, you don't know the point of happiness until you don't have to worry about money. When you don't have to worry about money, like the bills, you have enough money right now. The bills are paid in the foreseeable future. Like there is no happiness like that. And so I don't care if I'm not wearing Prada because I see Prada chick hustling to that job that I'm not hustling to, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
You look stressed the heck out. And Rashida Dow said something that was pretty interesting that I don't think I ever appreciated when I was still working in an office, and that is, look at those people who have what you think you want. Do they look happy? If they don't, maybe you should reevaluate.
Exactly.
So me in my little Target, no, I think this is Costco, Costco pullover, right? Um, I can't say stress free because I've got aging parents that are stressing me the heck out. But other than that,
Yeah.
life is good.
Actually, what you just said made me think of, I don't know if you have read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I love that book
Yeah.
in terms of money mindset. So it's The Psychology of Money. And in that book, he actually, so he has like few stories, and he talks about how, when you see someone in a Lamborghini or in a Jaguar, most of the time, it's not like you envying the person, but you're thinking of yourself in that same car. So really, sometimes people think that, oh, I'm gonna get this car, so everybody is gonna see me and just gonna, give me more value, appreciation. But people are looking at it, thinking of themselves in that car, not thinking of you, saying, "Oh my
Right.
God, like he made it." It's like,
Oh, Halisi made it.
yeah,
She's
they're
come
not
up.
thinking of
Like,
you. They're just like, oh my God, I will look good in that car. I'll look good in those shoes, or I'll look good with that purse. That's what they're thinking of. Right. So when you see it like that, you just like, okay, so then what's the point? Right? Because at the end of the day, people are thinking about it from their own perspective for themselves. So I really enjoyed that book actually, on money mindset, which I think it's something that people really need to work on a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, your course, from it's money mindset makeover, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yes.
and can you talk about the course? How did you come up with that course, and what people can expect actually if they were to join the course?
Yeah. So I took our journey and what we did with the hit and miss, and left out the misses and just put the hits. So, all the mistakes, are eliminated, and what worked is what's in there.
Okay.
And so the first module really is about money mindset and rethinking what our relationship with money is
Hmm.
and what it actually means. I tell the story. I've got a dress that I got custom made from some artisans in Africa.
Hmm.
And so for the big gala that never happened because of the pandemic, I worked for the Democratic Party. So I had this blue and white, and, I was going to walk in as the African queen. And as I'm trying it on, which of course I can't get it over my hips right now, but as I was trying it on, I was like, yeah, so and so ain't gonna say this time that she saw me in this dress at the last gala.
And then you catch yourself. You're like, why am I thinking like that? Why is
Did
that
I just
important to me?
spend money to shut somebody up that I don't even like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do that. No, I love the dress. I love the dress, and I can't wait to. I've never worn it, and it was actually pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking. However, um, I I caught myself, and I was like, oh my gosh. So so we deal with things like that. The things that our parents said, their relationship, how they talk to you about money, and you do a self evaluation.
Hmm.
So you can see where you're at, and um, and then there's some videos and things that we ask you to watch so that you can start considering different things, considering a different way of life, especially if you're not a high earner but you still want to be financially independent. I love Adelia introduced me to Paula Pant. And I love that you can afford anything, just not everything. In America, we want everything.
Yeah. In North America, actually.
Everything. Right? It's got to be the McMansion.
The big car.
At one time, let me tell you, this is embarrassing. At one time, we had a Range Rover, a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, and a Pathfinder with two people, two adults.
Wow.
This wasn't Rick. This was pre-Rick. What is wrong with that picture?
Too many cars?
And still, right, definitely. And still no joy. And still no joy. So, so the first module of the course really gets into thinking about your relationship with money. Then we get into a financial assessment, because most people don't have any idea where their money is going. And in the US, we are encouraged to always maximize everything. Exactly. Always have the most. I'm the oldest Gen Xer, and I remember when I was younger that it was like, he who dies with the most stuff wins.
What?
Really? Really? So then we get into a financial assessment, and you calculate your FI number. We teach you how to do your savings rate and all of that, and consider other places outside of your home country to live, because we're on a mission. We are on a mission that every free-thinking Black person in America, deuces, baby, get out. They don't deserve us. They just don't deserve us. And so that is definitely our mission. So that is in the course as well. Some people, for whatever reason, want to stay in their home country, and that's fine. There's different considerations when you're staying in your home country. And then we get into real estate investing in the stock market. There's two ways to calculate FI, which a lot of people don't talk about. So we do talk about the two ways, and especially for our audience who may be a little bit closer to receiving some type of pension or something.
Okay.
And oftentimes no one considers that, and so, yeah, if you're 3 years away from it, consider it. If you're 40 and you're depending upon Social Security, maybe not.
No.
Who knows what America's going to do? But if you're 57 and you could conceivably take it at 59 or 62, consider it. And then there's, so there's a cash flow method, and then the 25 times annual. So we go through both of those ways to calculate your financial independence number. And then we talk about side hustles. For two reasons. One is, it's funny because someone in we have a Facebook group called Fire Over 50. And someone said, can you point out someone who has retired early who doesn't have a side hustle?
There are not many. Yeah.
And it's not because, like, if you think of Christina and Amana Barber Strong, they didn't need the money.
No.
But what are you going to do? There's only so many beaches, museums, Mai Tais, big coconut drinks, until I am a very, very, very curious person and a constant, lifelong learner. Like, I could be a professional student if it paid better.
Yeah.
Only thing is I don't like doing homework on their time. I just like doing homework when I feel like doing homework. So that's the problem. But I love learning. So I can't imagine not having something to work on. Now, that doesn't mean it has to bring in coin, but if it does, why not?
Yeah.
And for us, because we are post-FI, we're not totally financially independent. We definitely needed to have a side hustle so that we could travel as much as we want to travel and things like that.
Okay. So that's great, because I feel like you cover so much. And like you say, for people who are looking to move abroad, but also for people who are not looking to move abroad. But, at the end of the day, a lot of time when people think of either traveling or moving abroad, the first reason that they will give that maybe, you know, they might not do it is money. So usually it's like money, healthcare, safety, but money comes up a lot, right? So
Yeah.
I think, like, you know, definitely your course is a way for someone to, you know, wrap around their head about their own money and really have a system in place that's going to
Yeah.
help them essentially do that. So let's talk about you moving abroad. So how did that come about, and how did you guys decide on Portugal? And in terms of the money, how did you get your money ready for that?
Yeah. Um, so the first the first thing that we thought we wanted to do when we retired was we're going to buy an RV and travel around the United States making documentaries. This was pre-YouTube.
Okay.
Pre-YouTube.
YouTube
YouTube
is
did not
better.
exist. Yeah, it definitely is, in a wider audience. And we're not beholden to someone to get it distributed, right?
Mhm.
Did not want to play that Hollywood game again because my first career was in Hollywood.
Okay.
So so that was the first iteration of our dream. And then we started traveling outside of the country, and then that kind of changed.
Hmm.
We still did not think though that we could actually leave, and which is just crazy because once there's the internet, you can make money anywhere. You
Mhm.
really can make money anywhere. But still, so in 2018, we took a month and traveled around Europe and fell in love with Barcelona. So we loved the beach, the very old medieval village with the modern in the city part of Barcelona. And it's like, oh, this is great. The food was less expensive. It was cleaner than it is in the United States. And it just seemed like a paradise. We loved it. And so the plan was to move to Spain. So I started taking Spanish lessons, but this wasn't going to happen until like 2025 because my ego said there were some other professional things that I needed to do.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so then it was Spain. It became Portugal when Rick got furloughed during the pandemic. And he was looking at, I had this big world map on the wall and putting little stickies, all the places that we've been, and then pins and all the places we want to go. And he's like, Portugal, right next to Spain, but they have good weather too. Now, mind you, we're in Colorado. We're shoveling snow every winter. So the bar is kind of low, right? The bar is kind of low when it comes to weather. But he literally Googled Black people in Portugal, and Our Rich Journey came up.
Yeah.
And he kept trying to get me to watch it. And I'm like, look, they started the slave trade. I ain't trying to go to no Portugal. Meanwhile, Spain was a much better colonizer. Look at all of South America, right?
Hmm.
But for some reason, that didn't connect. All I know is, and then I asked my dad, I said, Dad, what do you think about Portugal? He's like, oh, no. Because, he was very involved in the civil rights
Oh
movement
yeah.
back in the day. So, oh, no. So Rick kept saying, just check them out. Just check them out. They're a cool family, Black from the Bay Area, blah, blah, blah. So I started watching, and they did a video because they had lived in.
Hmm. I think her screen froze. Let's see here. Let's see. Is it Halisi only who's frozen for you guys? Let's see. Hmm. Okay, she probably log off and come back in, but just Halisi. Okay. Thanks, Adelia, for confirming. So probably wait for her to come back. But in the meantime, maybe just want to let you guys know. So my live will be each Wednesday now at 12 p.m. I might have some exceptions. And I think next week is already one of the exceptions will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be interviewing a fellow Canadian YouTuber, Black woman, also um, in the I guess, like financial independence world, and her name is Catrice Justice. So probably put something out there for you guys who can actually join the live next week, December 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I see your question, Dee. I just want to give a chance to Halisi to come back in so we can talk about it together. And also, if you guys haven't had a chance to attend the Wealthy Black Women Summit, which happened on November 18th, just know that the replays are available. I'm just going to put the link here in the chat so you guys can go and grab your ticket, your replay ticket. And I believe they will be available until February next, um, next year. Essentially. So that was our first edition, and I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on that. So I think that we'll have another edition in 2024. And also, if you're not part of the Facebook group yet, you can join the Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group just for Black women, and it's called the Wealthy Black Women Summit. So any Black woman can join. I need to be able to see your profile just to confirm that you are a Black woman, of course. And so we'll be talking mainly about financial wealth, but definitely open to any other type of wealth, same way we did for the summit, because I don't want to prevent anyone to talk about any other type of wealth. That's really what they want to talk about, but the focus will really be on financial wealth. So anything to do with investment, generational wealth, also, paying down debt and also saving, essentially. So that's about it. I'm not sure. I hope that she can come back in. Let's see here. I think I'm seeing her coming back because I really want to touch on the moving abroad part and the link with getting the money ready. Okay, here she is. Hey, hey, you back?
So I thought I was plugged in, and I was at 3%.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know why it froze, though. It should not have frozen. So it looks like our internet is back. So I'm so sorry. Please
No
forgive me.
worries.
But in any event, so I was like I said before, I wasn't checking out any of their money videos. I was only checking out the things on Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I don't want to connect that. I'm sorry. I'm going to turn off this VPN just to make sure that we don't have any interference. Disconnect for right now. Okay. And so they did a video that they were comparing Spain to Portugal, and it was very pragmatic. Talking about the tax scheme, cost of living, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, okay. Then they did another video showing the diversity in Lisbon. And I compare that diversity to what I saw in Barcelona, and I'm like, okay. And so I said, all right, we've been to Spain. We know what that is. Let's go to Portugal. And we had joined their a class that they had. It was 365 Days to Fire. At this point, we were basically retired.
Okay.
But you get 12 group coaching sessions with them. Our course comes with group coaching, monthly group coaching as well. But I paid just to get the 12 group. Like, I can ask you questions? Okay, once a month? Okay. So did I do any of the homework? I did. We did a third of it. We did a third of it. I looked at it every month. I'm gonna put it that way. Some of the stuff just did not apply because we were further along in our journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I used their meetup as the deadline.
Okay.
And so, because really, like I said, it was supposed to be 2025. And in 2021, in the fall to early winter, my dad started going in and out of the hospital. And his dementia really got a lot worse. And so I'm working 70 hours a week. I'm taking care of him. I was down to like 119 pounds.
Wow.
My hair was falling out. Like I told Rick, I said, I can't do this anymore. Well, we got to do what we got to do. No, because somebody gonna die, and it's not gonna be me. So I am not doing this anymore. And so I had already, before I even told him I wasn't going to, like, I'm quitting. I'm not working anymore. This is it. I had already run the numbers. And I'm like, look, first of all, I said, you know how much money you can make on YouTube? And I showed him some videos. And he's like, yeah, but that's going to take years. And I said, and we have 2 years living expenses saved. So I said, the key is that we have to live on your Social Security, period. And then we can house sit when we travel, and we can splurge like that. But I'm not doing this anymore. And so the notion that, okay, you get, $3,000 a month Social Security, that's not a lot of money. The notion that, but that's all you got, so that's what you got to live on, that was never a thing to me. ever a thing to me. But it was, by this time it was, right? And so we let June be our deadline. We made a decision over the Christmas holidays 2021. My boss was training me to take her place, but she decided to do an extra term.
Okay.
I guess I made her job too easy. I don't know. Maybe she thought I wasn't ready. I don't know. But I called her and I'm like, so I think that train has left the station.
Wow.
Yeah, like when we came back from the holidays, that train has left the station. We're moving to Portugal. And she's like, okay, well, we can make that work. Let's see. So would you come back like quarterly? No, baby.
I'm leaving, for real.
This is it. Like, I'm quitting. I'm putting in notice, and I will give you 3 months, because I was the executive director, to find someone so that I could train them. We're getting ready for the presidential election, right? All of that. No. The presidential election had just ended. So we're getting ready for another coordinated, though. No, 2022. Oh, the midterms, the 2022 elections.
Mm-hmm.
So the midterm elections. So that's a whole thing in the political world. There's all these people that come together. There's a lot of money you've got to manage and all of this. So I said, I give you 3 months. March 1st is going to be my last day. And so that's what it was.
That was March 1st, 2022.
Yep.
And you guys moved in June 2022.
Exactly.
Literally 3 years earlier than you actually anticipated. Wow.
Right. Because we were trying to get to total FI, and that was going to take the 3 years more. And it actually, with the stock market going down, it might have taken even longer. And so I'm like, we can just do Coast FI.
Yes.
And but we're still in Coast FI. The notion is that you don't need to put any more money into your investment accounts, but we still are. We still are, from that little bitty money, taking out $300 a month and putting it in our investment accounts.
Okay.
But yeah, so and so as far as the budget goes, we do have a Move Abroad toolkit. It's in the resources that I sent you. Part of it was doing research from the Earth Awaits and other databases like that to see what the cost of living is for Lisbon. But going in person, there's nothing like it, right? That's when the rubber meets the road. But that's how we started. And then I looked at the worst case scenario. I looked back at the worst exchange rate in the last 10 years, and I based it on that. Okay. Now, had I been smart, September 2022, I should have moved over like 50,000, because it was like $1.02 to the euro. I was like, oh, yes. Now we're down to like 92 cents, right? The last transfer I did, I lost 8% of our money, right? And it just, ouch. But I had already planned for that. So that's one thing, especially if you're going to a place where their currency is stronger than your home currency. You've got to keep that in mind. And so the budget was based upon, some of it was based upon what our immigration specialist said.
Okay.
landlords would want. So the weird thing about Portugal is you have to have a 1-year lease before you even apply. Hmm. And I know some people who got no's, and they're paying on an apartment that they'll never live in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So when we went in June, we got a feeling of what the rents really are on
Okay.
the ground.
And that was your scouting trip, right? That was your scouting
Yeah, that was our scouting trip. But we landed June 3rd, June 4th. We made a decision in the first week. We got on the train or the metro, not a train, but the metro train, saw these Black folks and we're like, we home. We get all this old stuff, that just, and the history and this and that, and we get Black folks.
Sign me up.
Now, granted, they don't speak English.
Yeah.
But I blend in. And so that was key. And I didn't realize how important that was until I had it, right? In America, it's America. So it is what it is. That's your home country. That's our country. And I never really thought about it. But in Mexico and in Spain, I didn't blend in.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that the people of Mexico are not delightful, because they totally were, totally welcoming and everything like that. Because we do have permanent residency in Mexico as well. Don't relax, slow down. You live in Mexico now. Love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Spain, though.
Yeah, no, okay.
And I didn't know until I had something to compare it to,
mm-hmm.
right? In Mexico, there's just not a lot of us, so there's nothing to compare. But in Mexico, in Spain, there are a lot of African immigrants. And in retrospect, after being in Lisbon, I noticed that they all seem to be on the periphery of the economic system.
Okay.
And that didn't click for me because we were on vacation. It's a whole different world when you're on vacation. But when you go into a bank, when you go to the pharmacy, and the first pharmacist I had was a Black woman, right? People, they are part of the mainstream economic system, not hustling knockoff bags on the side of the road, right? That made a huge difference. And I didn't realize that until I experienced it. And I don't think, I suppose there's a lot of Black folks in France who are integrated into the system, because I've met some of them. They now live in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
They live in Portugal. But they're professionals, so I know they were integrated into the system. But I did not see that in Spain like I see it in Portugal. And so that was key. Like, I don't have to worry about where to get my hair did or where to get my hair products, And when we went up, even in the tourist area, and now this happens in America all the time because we only speak the one language, but in the tourist area, we went to a restaurant and he started speaking to us in Portuguese. And I was like, we look
That's
Portuguese?
Good. You
right?
blended in so much that they thought that you were Portuguese. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, that was, I was like, okay, I will always be an immigrant. I will always be a guest until I have that passport. But that makes me it feels more like home.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great to hear. And I've seen some of your videos where you really say, we feel like home here, right? Like, it is home here. And it's I think that also it takes a mindset change, right? Because I don't know, it might not happen that much in Canada, but I feel like you guys in the US, because people think that the US is the best country in the world, you groom from early age to think that you're already in the best country of the world. So why would you go outside and even visit other countries, and even more than that, elect to live in another country, right? So it's kind of
Right.
it's good. And people like you, like Adelia, like Rashida, and so many others need to do that. So our people can see that and be like, oh, there are other ways that we can actually do this. And so Dee had a question here where she referred to people who are getting back into debt before they move abroad. And I guess that's one thing that is something important to highlight, because you can pay off the debt, and as you're getting ready to move, find yourself back into debt again, which is kind of like a step back. So how did you guys manage that? Like, how can any cautionary tales for that?
There is no way on God's green earth I'm going back to that. Like, it makes my heart palpitate to
Mm.
just even think about it. And so if you're not working anymore, you really fixing to do that? I'm wondering if that's Herman or D, which one asked that question, but like, were those people still working? Because when you're still working and you're getting a nice paycheck, you forget, you know, you forget. But we have everything on auto pay.
Mm.
And it's the whole, whatever the balance is, it's automatically so that's how we make sure that and we put everything on the credit card, everything, unless it's a mom and pop store that doesn't take it, getting them points, baby. So we can
Yeah.
travel,
Yeah, but
right?
you do it the very smart way. You're not using the credit card just to collect the points. You know that you will have enough money to pay the credit card, but a lot of people out there are using the credit cards to collect the points, but they also know that they don't have the money to pay the balance, and that chances are they're just gonna go back into credit card debt. So, and I think I think it's
Yeah.
to this question, that can be uh, a big step back, as you're getting ready to move abroad, because you really want to make sure to reduce and even eliminate your consumer debt before you move abroad, because you don't want to be thinking about that wherever you are and be like, I have to make those payments.
And I
So,
think
yeah.
the other piece to that people, again, moving abroad is expensive.
Mm.
It's, maybe moving to Mexico is a little bit less because it's right there. But we saved about six figures, including an extra like 40,000 just for the move. And that's one way not to get back in debt, because I've got the cash, right? Spend the cash. And I hated keeping all of that money just in cash, but I needed it
Yeah.
fast, right?
Emergency.
Like in the
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
So, we had to put down 5 months rent,
5 months.
5 months rent.
Woo.
So 2 months in advance plus the current month,
Okay.
and then 2 months worth for security deposit, security and cleaning. Yeah.
That's brutal.
5 months rent, baby. That was like $9,000 just right.
And there
And
was no
then
guarantee of you getting your visa, even with that. Is that
no,
it?
no guarantee.
Okay. Ooh, Portugal. That's brutal.
It is. Now, one of the good things is you are able to break a contract here in Portugal once you have fulfilled a third of it.
Okay.
So we would have gotten some of that money back, but you really have to want to move here to jump through these hoops. And I
Yeah.
think the reason is that it is brutal like that is threefold. One, it's the easiest EU passport to get, besides a golden visa from someplace. But
Okay.
just a regular people money where you're not
Mm.
putting down 500,000 plus, right? It's 5 years you get a passport if you pass the language test, or you take the government class and pass the class. You don't even have to take the test. So and so the rest of the EU will have to accept you, and so they want to make sure that this is a place that you really want to be.
Yeah.
That's number one. They want us here for economic reasons. A lot of people during the pandemic, before they had all of these loopholes or hurdles, would come in here and then, why is this way and this is that way and the hills and the this and then, like, they got a visa without even visiting, and then they
Uh-oh.
turn around 4 or 5 months later and move. So the consulate, they don't exist to help immigrants move to their country. They
Mm.
exist to help their own people, right? So
Correct.
they put in this manpower. You only pay, what was it, like $90 application fee. That's not going to pay the
Hmm.
salary for someone who is going through all of your paperwork, and
Yeah.
so they're doing all of this investment, and then you turn around and leave.
Mm.
So I think a lot of that happened. And those were privileged people. Because Black folks, we don't have the kind of expectations
No,
that they have. People like, was there culture shock? No.
no, you make
I
do.
mean, exactly. Like, I'm not getting chased out of Starbucks. I'm not getting the cops called on me. I can walk around. I can walk around at night by myself without
Yeah.
worrying, right? I can sit in the park. No. So I suppose, like, I already knew that dryers are not a thing here. Some people do have dryers, but by and large, most people don't have dryers, and you're going to be hanging your clothes out like it's the 1950s. Okay. You telling me I get to live in Europe and
Mhm.
what I have to put up with is hanging my clothes out, and they'll last longer anyway,
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Um, old people,
Yeah.
smoking, hanging out the window on the first floor, watching you. And they look so unhappy. But all you have to do is say, "Boa tarde," and they smile.
Exactly.
And they
Yeah.
smile. So I haven't regretted anything.
Mm.
But you've really got to understand that, do you have enough luggage? How much is it going to cost to ship things? I'm paying two cell bills right now. I could do Google Voice, but I'm afraid to. I'm afraid that my double authentication for my US
Hmm.
banks is not going to work. I think we'll do Rick's first.
Yeah,
And if that
exactly.
works, then we'll do mine. So right now I've got two cell phone bills. You've got to take that into account. And we did a cost of living to say, and our electricity bill is high compared to other people. Some people's electricity bill is down 30 euro, but ours is usually 80, 90 euro,
Hmm.
which is still a fraction of what it was in the US.
Yeah.
But, we're living on a lot less as well. So you really need to come and see. People say, Lisbon is now the most expensive city to live in. No, it's not.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, it's not. I don't know who's saying that, but Girona, Spain, I got my feelings hurt. Like, these prices, I am not. I am really turning into a Portuguese, and I'm used to 9 euro, and you get that's drinks and starter and the full meal, and
Yeah.
then maybe a little extra for dessert. Like, the last time we went out for a white tablecloth meal is what I call it, with drinks. We didn't get dessert. And I had this wonderful Brazilian meal. Oh my God, it was so good. I can't wait to go back. 23 euro for the two of us.
Oof,
I had
that's the
one glass
same.
of wine. He had two beers.
23 euros. That's it.
That's it. Last time we were in the States, I spent like 40 euro, $40 at Five Guys.
That's the thing. Even fast food now, it's almost like, I don't know, when you go to like some sort of restaurant, I'm like, this is fast food. This should be the most affordable food. How come
Right?
I have to pay like
It,
15 bucks for my combo meal? Like, how much sense does that make?
it's crazy. So
Yeah.
they like, I'm looking at, there's a KFC right over there.
Hmm.
I've never been to KFC here. We have Burger King, KFC, McDonald's, um, Little Caesar Pizza, and Taco Hell, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
So you go to the food court at the mall, and the place that's serving the fresh food is half the price of KFC.
I think it should be like that. It should be like that, right? Because then they're really motivating you to get the healthy food versus here in North
Exactly.
America. The healthy food is crazy expensive. So you look at it, you're like, well, I'm going to get those broccolis and carrots, and I don't know what's going to cost me 20 bucks, but I can get the meat and get the pasta and the rice. It's going to cost me like 15 bucks. So, it's just,
Exactly.
yeah. And over there in Europe, like, produce is fresh. Same thing in Mexico is fresh. And, it's total different. So you get to eat healthier and feel better.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Dee's point here, and I think that's one thing that, and you mentioned a few times, is really, if you want to move abroad, think about having some sort of like emergency fund. Like you mentioned that you guys saved 2 years worth of living expenses. Sometimes we don't think
Yeah.
about it, even in our day to day, we should have something to fall back on because you never know what can
Yeah,
happen. And that in itself, because life will always be lifing, right? So you don't want to
that's right.
find yourself in some sort of position where you have to go back into debt because something happened. So I think, once you finish paying the debt and before something else happened, definitely work on establishing a reserve fund, something like that to really help. I think that's really what makes the difference between people who can sustain
Yeah,
financial shocks, especially after moving abroad. Then people sometimes they move abroad, something happens, and then they need to come back,
and
which
they,
you
and
don't
they
want
come
to do
back.
that.
Yeah, and I would say I'm going to add to this something that's a bit esoteric. That the folks who get back into debt wanted to get back in debt.
Hmm.
They're not happy unless they have pain. Because one thing that I noticed is that once I changed my mind and really truly believed that I deserve a life, a debt-free life, a financially carefree life. It's never going to be totally carefree, right? I spent time at the doctor's office today, which is really holistic, but they're turning me into a vegan. Like, where's my meat? So it's not 100% carefree. Now I got to watch what I eat, and I'm trying to, eat
Mhm.
a lot more vegetables. Like she's like, oh no, that's not enough vegetables, Halisi. Triple that. I'm like,
Oh my
okay,
God. I think that would be the
yeah,
nightmare. That would be Adelia's nightmare if she was getting that type of
yeah. So they did
diagnostic.
it based upon my blood type and my blood tests,
Mm.
and created a menu for me. This is what you need to get your body back in balance. So, thankfully the fruits and vegetables here taste so much better than they do in the States.
Yeah.
But getting back to the debt thing, like I really truly believe that once you make up your mind that this is what I want and I deserve it and it's going to happen, it does. So I say we saved up 2 years worth of living expenses. I'm going to be honest, the scouting trip cost more than I budgeted. And then we went to Mexico right after that. Cost more than I budgeted. So I'm looking at that
Mm-hmm.
our money tick down, tick down, tick down. And an event happened, a small event at our house happened. It was a small fire in thankfully it was just in the garage.
Yeah.
But the insurance company gave us money like it was in the kitchen. So, and then then they found asbestos and we had to have that remediated. And so that was like 15,000 that I thought I was going to have to pay out of the money that we got. The insurance company paid that directly.
Great.
So now my budget's back up. And then I find my own people, like, I don't need your people to paint my house. They can repaint, like from the smoke damage and stuff. I found my own folks to put up new drywall and all of that, and got it for a fraction of the cost. And our balance went right back up to where it was.
Smart. Mm-hmm.
So, and I say that to say it's because I believe that I deserve this life, and money flows. Money flows, money flows. And even though, like, I wasn't expecting that, I used to tell Rick, I said, check's gonna be in the mail. He's like, please. I said, a check's gonna be in the mail. And checks would be in the mail.
Okay, I'm gonna start saying
Either
that. A check's gotta be in the mail.
That's right. That's
That'll be
right.
my mantra now.
Seriously, I tell people this all the time. Before we moved, I had an index card that I put on our mirror in our bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I am so thankful that Rick and I are living abroad and are financially independent.
Great.
I found play money that were $1 million bills. It was one bill that was $1 million. I put it on my ceiling.
So
I
then
said,
when you
we're
lie
gonna
down, you say it?
I see it. I'm like, thank you, Father God, that we are millionaires.
Whew.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. And we went from negative 22,000 to over
To be
1.1
millionaires,
million in net
yeah.
worth. Right.
Amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's a mind shift. But if you're thinking from a point of scarcity, oh, I don't want to pay off that car because, you know, either one, you shouldn't have been spending that money in the first doggone place. So what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get out of debt, the next step is a healthy emergency fund, so that you never have to put emergencies on your credit cards ever again, and keep that balance, I should say, right?
Yeah.
Ever again. So so the question is, why? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? Why do you think you don't deserve to be happy and to have that stress off of you? Right? When it started getting low again, we had a viral video, and a little bit bigger check than we usually get
YouTube.
from YouTube. Boom! It was like,
Yeah.
money flows.
Money
There's
flows.
plenty of it out
Money
there.
flows, Alicia. I agree with you. And I
Yes,
accept it. We all accept it in the chat here. Just put I accept
right.
it. Money flows. Money is
That's
flowing
right.
and we accept it. We accept it.
Exactly. If there is no scarcity, there is
Mhm.
abundance. There is enough to go around.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So before I let you go, I really want to talk about generational wealth. And the reason why I want to talk about it, I have young kids. As you guys know, I have pretty young kids. But that's something that I feel like in the Black community, we don't talk about enough. Or even when we
Mhm.
talk about it, we don't implement it in the right way to really make it happen, right? Because, if we're going to be building the wealth, but we can't pass it on to the next generation, then what's the point, right? We don't want each generation to be doing this very difficult work of building the wealth. So, from your
Right.
perspective, and I know you have grown kids right now, but what are you and Rick? What are you doing? When it comes to generational wealth uh,
Right.
with your kids.
Well, we'll see if we pass it down or if we die with zero.
Aha!
However,
Yeah.
this is the plan. So the first thing is that we put everything in an estate, in a trust, and we put parameters around the trust. So it's a revocable trust right now. We put parameters, and so the idea that we had was that the properties and the money would be our family bank,
Okay.
right? And so if someone wants to buy a house, you borrow against the trust, and to help you with your down payment or something like that, right? And really, what we were saying is all of the properties should just go in the trust, all of them in the trust. If you buy a house, put it in the trust, right? And it benefits everyone. And so that was the idea. So, I don't want people to just be waiting until we die. That
Yeah.
it's supposed to be available now,
Hmm.
but with parameters. And so, once we die, it's irrevocable. It Everything has to stay intact, and you can add to it, but you can't dissolve it.
Okay.
Um, and so we started having family finance calls once a month,
Okay.
because why pass down something to people who don't know how to handle their money?
Correct.
And we know you don't know how to handle your money because you're texting us asking to borrow money,
Yeah. So the
right?
education needs to happen. So then they can definitely take it over and they can grow it instead of depleting that.
Exactly. Now, when I say the book that was Die at Zero is really about giving them the money before you die so that
Yeah.
they can use it when they most need it. However, that's not what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And they stopped coming to the calls. They stopped showing up.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, why didn't you tell me you didn't want this? You should have let me know that you didn't want it. I still going to leave it in a trust because it's protection as well. But but we might end up selling the properties and just cruising around the world. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So what was
Chartering
the
a plane.
Yeah, because you guys are buying you're planning on buying a private jet, right? So that's in the
Oh,
plan.
no, but a building, we're definitely saving to buy a building. So
In
I
Portugal,
and
right?
here's in Portugal. And
Yeah.
so this is another thing, like standing in faith. Do we have the money right now? No. Everyone's saying Lisbon is not going to do anything but get more and more and more expensive. Maybe, maybe not. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
They're ending the tax scheme, or they're making major revisions. I got to see where that is. Major revisions to the tax scheme. That's going to slow down immigration. The tax incentives are not there for investors, so we'll see. I just know when we have the money, and we're going to co-invest with some friends. When we have the money, the perfect building it will be there. It will
Exactly.
be there, and it will only need lipstick and rouge. I don't want to ruin,
No.
that I have to almost excavate. I want just lipstick and rouge is all it needs. Maybe a little updating here and there. And then the plan is to take 2 of the units and sell them, not sell them, but rent them out below market for local folks.
Oh, that is great. That's such a nice way to give back.
Yeah.
To be honest. So tell me, Halisi, since your children stopped showing up at the family finance call, what happened? Did you give up? Looks like you gave up.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, we'll see what happens and if they have any epiphanies. But don't then they're like crowdsourcing for stuff. Like,
Right.
why are you crowdfunding? Why are you trying to crowdfund for this and that? Had you had your butts on the calls, you'd have the money, and you wouldn't have to be out in these streets begging for the money. Everybody put in $5, you know. So I
We
can
need
get
to
my
stop
baby's
that.
clothes out
We
of
need to stop
layaway.
that. Like, we need to stop that for funerals, for weddings, for like I don't know, surgery. I mean, come on, come on. Like, people don't want to get like critical illness insurance, but if something happened, everybody's on the GoFundMe. I'm like, you could have gotten an insurance policy, paying a little bit every month, because I mean, we never know. I want to acknowledge that yes, the people are really hurting to the point that they don't have the luxury of getting maybe insurance policy, but the majority of us, we have that possibility of getting the insurance policy. So why don't you get that? Why don't you get the life insurance? Why don't you get the disability insurance? Because as of the statistic, we have more chance of getting disabled in this day and age than, passing. So, and then, everybody's on the GoFundMe. I'm like, it's not that I don't want to give you money, but if I'm giving money to all of the GoFundMe that is out there, I'm not going to have anything left. So it's really something we need to change. Very important. Yeah.
Very, very. One of Rick's old friends was GoFundMe me for his cancer treatments. So you're stressed out about the money. Your body cannot heal if you're stressed out. And this person, when he was in our lives on a regular, he was making $85 an hour. Where's that money? Where's that money?
That's really good. That's a good sound. Yeah.
Right? I don't have my phone to do the math, but this was like 15 years ago. Where's that money?
Yeah. So you did mention everything is in a trust right now. And is it a trust? I guess it's a living trust. That's what it is.
It's a revocable trust, a state
Okay.
trust.
And that is
Yeah.
different from setting up a will. I want to make sure that people understand that there
Yes.
is a difference between the two. So can you quickly explain the
Yes.
difference between having a trust and having a will, and that the two are not mutually exclusive? You
Right.
should have both in
A,
place.
a trust, you can think of a trust as kind of an entity, a company that owns the stuff that's in the trust. Okay. Just like a company has assets, a trust is sort of like a company that owns the assets, so that, and whoever the beneficiaries are benefit from that trust regardless. Whereas a will, like we could write a will and say, okay, our condo in LA and our house in Denver, we want to go to all of our kids, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, whatever. But it's going to go through probate.
Yeah. Oof. Money for the state.
Exactly. It's going to go through probate, and all of that's going to happen. And so You should have a will, especially for non-monetary assets, although some of those assets are also in our trust.
Okay.
Original artwork and things like that that have real value. But you should have a will so that your family is not coming into your house saying, "I wanted that antique, blah blah blah." That stuff is not going to go through probate. You come in the house, you get the stuff, the will's there. We know what's what. But for real estate and real money and brokerage accounts and things like that, yeah. Yeah, we don't want Uncle Sam, that drunk uncle who shows up, flirting with your best friend, right? Acting out, cheating at dominoes. That's Uncle Sam. We know how he does, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want him coming in, when everyone is grieving, picking over the bones and making them go through a lot of hassles and really spend money that they probably don't have.
So $85 an hour, that's
Thank
like
you.
$176,000.
And this was back in
Yeah.
the early to
Wow.
mid 2000s. He was making this kind of money. And he should have been saving $100,000 a year minimum, because his wife was working too.
Yeah. Okay. So, Halisi, you wanted to pay debt, you did pay debt. You wanted to save, you did save. You guys wanted to move abroad, you did move abroad. You have a YouTube channel that is amazing. As much as possible, when you guys have your live on the Thursday, and the Thursday I miss it most of the time, but the Sunday I really try to be there because it's the longer one too. You get to interact with the Utopians family in the chat. So what's next? What's next for our Black Utopia in the next, I don't know, 5 years or so? What is next for you guys?
I have no idea. And we probably should think about that. I don't think that I'm going to add anything to our plate. If anything, it will be a reduction by hiring help. Because I want to do more fun things. I want to do more of my hobbies and start integrating that. And it seems like every time we have time, I was like, ooh, we should do, right? Like I've been promising a separate real estate investing course with my cousin who owns like 40 properties or 40 doors. And I'm going to do it because I said I'm going to do it. So I've got to do that. We have a meetup coming in June. So I figured out around Juneteenth week. So this in 2024, that's going to be the 17th and 18th. That's going to be the days that we do our annual meetup. When people come to town, we meet with them. But I want to take tango lessons, and I want to start sewing again, and I want to relearn how to do crochet and stuff like that, and really make more time for these languages as well, because I'm still taking Spanish, and now I've added Portuguese. So 5 years from now, we should be EU citizens. Yes, we should be EU citizens and have at least checked off our first batch of countries that we've always wanted to see. Well, I've actually already seen the first batch, so this will be the second batch. The second batch that we really want to see, and maybe go back to some place, like we're going back to South Africa in February. The Exodus crew is going to be there, and even though I'm not going to the meetups, I just want to see a bunch of English-speaking Black women all in one place. Besides the South Africans. Plus, I have family there, so I want to see them as well. But yeah, so I think we'll have a building. If it's in Lisbon, I don't know. We'll see what God has, but we'll have a building. That's for sure. And over $1 million in cash, not just net worth.
In cash. So let me recap so you can come back to this video 5 years from now. First thing, you guys will be EU citizens. Second, you guys will have a building by then. And the third, you guys will have a $1 million in cash.
Right. So
I'm not,
definitely higher net worth. Um, we'll see, because if the election doesn't go our way, we might sell the house in Denver.
okay.
Yeah, I don't trust that America is going to hold value if 45 gets reelected.
Mm, yeah. Next year
You
will tell. Next year will tell, definitely.
so I'll
So
take the money that we make and, figure out how to not pay the taxes, and then invest it in the stock market,
okay. Sounds good.
because
Well, Alessi, I want to thank you so much for being here. I've been trying
absolutely.
to get you on the channel, and I'm
Yes.
so inspired by your journey, and also Rick's journey, things that you have accomplished. We're part of the same Exodus Summit group, and it's just amazing to see, Black women like you doing the thing, and also reaching back and helping others also come on board. So it's really inspiring. I'm manifesting everything for you that you want to accomplish in the next year, in the next 5 years. And
I
I
love it.
put your YouTube channel in the chat. If you're not following them, please go ahead, especially for if you are from the United States of America. I live in Canada, and I'm always on their on their channel, because at the end of the day, there's so much that it's not country specific. It's really
Right.
wealth building at large. uh, Moving abroad, it's for everybody who wants to move abroad. So they have done it, and so now it's all about the whole sharing, the knowledge and the love. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's later on your side over
Yeah,
there.
I've probably gotten darker because I had the sun when we started, but now it's dark outside.
Yeah.
So
And hopefully, maybe in 5 years or maybe before that, I would love to have you back on the channel so you can let us know how things are progressing for you guys. And I'm pretty
yeah,
sure we'll be happy to see that. But
yeah.
um, let me know, is there any final word that you want to share with the audience before we
Now I
close?
think, I think the thing is be nice to yourself. If you want to do the thing, do the thing. And that's the way you can be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
So many times we have so many things, so much baggage, that we self-sabotage,
Hmm.
right? And then at the end of the day, I'm like, why me and all of this? And the bottom line is if you want it, put together a plan, stick to it, and you can do it. It may take a little bit longer than it took us, but then we're not young. I'm 59 years old. So I've had some time to save a couple of bucks up before I got some sense in my head, right? So I wasn't starting from zero. But even if you're starting from zero, this thing is so doable. It really, really is. It really is. It's not as daunting as it may seem. And you may not need as much money as you think. Some people say 2.5 million, how can I ever get there?
Mhm.
But there's ways.
There's ways. Great. Perfect. Thank you so much, Alice, again.
You're
And thank you
welcome.
guys in the chat for being here and also sharing among yourself and asking
Yeah.
questions. So we'll back next week. So next week, the live will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the time that my guest is available. Like I say, I'll be chatting with Catrice Justice, and she's a fellow Canadian Black woman YouTuber in the financial independence area. She also lives in Ottawa. Like me, she's much younger, so than me. So it'll be good to get perspective of a young Black woman, on the financial independence um, journey as well. So thank you again for coming here. Alice, can you hold on for 1 second? I'm just gonna end the live
Absolutely.
now. Have a good day, everyone, or have a good night wherever you are. Bye.